Prince Harry and Meghan Markle have once again found themselves at the centre of dramatic headlines. But when the noise is stripped away and the facts are examined carefully, a very different story emerges, one that speaks to evolution resilience and a deliberate reshaping of purpose, rather than crisis or collapse. The recent announcement by James Holt that he is stepping down from his role as chief of Archewell Philanthropies has been seized upon by sections of the media eager to frame it as a sign of trouble. Yet, when viewed through a clearer lens, this moment represents a transition, not a downfall, and certainly not the end of the Sussex vision. James Holt has been a trusted and respected figure within Archewell since its early days. His contribution helped shape the philanthropic arm of the organisation during a period when Prince Harry and Meghan were laying foundations not just for a charity, but for a values-driven platform focused on impact, accountability and compassion. Holt himself has spoken positively about his time at Archewell, and his departure was announced openly and professionally, not quietly or under a cloud. In the world of non-profit leadership, turnover is common, especially after several years of intense work during formative stages. Leaders build systems, guide strategy, and then move on once structures are solid. That is not a scandal. It is standard practice. What matters more is what Archewell has already accomplished and continues to stand for. Since its inception, the Foundation has supported vaccine equity, mental health initiatives, digital safety programs, gender equality projects, and community-based recovery efforts. These are not vanity causes. They are areas that require long-term commitment and thoughtful partnerships. Archewell has consistently partnered with established organisations rather than duplicating work or chasing headlines. That approach often means operating with lean teams rather than bloated staffing models that drain resources away from mission delivery. Reports suggesting that Archewell Philanthropies currently operates with a small staff have been framed negatively, but in reality this reflects a strategic choice. Many modern foundations deliberately remain compact, relying on partnerships, consultants and grantees, rather than large permanent payrolls. This allows flexibility, efficiency and focus. Prince Harry and Meghan have repeatedly emphasised that they want funds to go where they matter most on the ground, not into maintaining corporate-style overheads. A smaller core team does not equal dysfunction. It often equals discipline. The suggestion floated by unnamed sources that Archewell might be sold or that it is somehow on the brink of collapse relies heavily on speculation rather than evidence. Foundations are not typically sold in the way commercial brands are. Archewell is not a fashion label or a media company. It is a mission-driven organisation tied to the values and public commitments of its founders. To speak of a sale misunderstands both its structure and its purpose. What is more likely is that Archewell is entering a new phase one, where its philanthropic arm continues steadily while media projects and partnerships evolve alongside it. Much of the commentary has attempted to link the future of Archewell to Meghan's Netflix series With Love. This is another example of conflating separate ventures in order to manufacture drama. Archewell Productions and Archewell Philanthropies are distinct entities with different goals, timelines, and success metrics. A television show, whether renewed or not, does not determine the viability of a charitable foundation. Netflix renewals depend on a wide range of factors, including scheduling, audience data, and broader content strategies. Even highly successful shows are sometimes limited to a single season by design. Meghan's work with Netflix has already achieved key objectives. It allowed her to reclaim her voice, explore themes of connection culture and storytelling, and demonstrate her creative leadership. With Love was not just entertainment. It was a reflection of Meghan's long-standing interest in community storytelling, food heritage and human connection. Whether or not Netflix chooses to commission additional episodes does not erase the value of what was created, nor does it undermine Meghan's credibility as a producer. The recurring question posed by critics: what happens to their staff is framed as concern, but functions as an attempt to cast the Sussexes as irresponsible employers. This narrative ignores the reality of project-based work in media and philanthropy. Staff are hired for specific phases and roles. Contracts end, new ones begin. That is not cruelty or chaos. It is how modern organisations operate, especially those that span different sectors. Prince Harry and Meghan have consistently emphasised ethical employment practices and fair treatment. There has been no credible reporting of staff being mistreated or abandoned. It is also worth noting the context in which these stories are being pushed. The Sussexes have challenged entrenched systems, whether within the monarchy, the media, or the charity industrial complex. They have insisted on transparency, mental health awareness and accountability. That stance has not endeared them to certain institutions or commentators. Negative framing becomes a tool to undermine their credibility and exhaust public sympathy. Each staffing change or business decision is magnified into a supposed crisis, while similar moves by other high-profile figures pass without comment. Prince Harry's lifelong commitment to service did not begin with Archewell, and it will not end with it. From founding the Invictus Games to championing veterans' mental health and conservation, his record speaks for itself. Meghan likewise has a documented history of advocacy stretching back years before her marriage. Her work on gender equality, food insecurity and representation predates any Netflix deal or royal title. Archewell is a continuation of that work, not a publicity stunt. There is also a deeper conversation to be had about why people seem so invested in the idea of the Sussexes failing. For some, it validates a narrative that they should have stayed silent, compliant and grateful. Their decision to step away and build independent lives challenged expectations and power structures. Success on their own terms threatens the notion that relevance and legitimacy only flow from traditional institutions. When Prince Harry and Meghan demonstrate that they can operate globally, partner with major platforms and direct resources toward meaningful causes, it unsettles those invested in the old order. James Holt's departure should therefore be understood as a chapter closing, not a book ending. Organisations evolve, leaders move on new expertise comes in. Archewell has reached a point where its systems, partnerships and reputation are established. This allows for recalibration and renewal. It also opens space for fresh voices and ideas aligned with its mission. The media focus on staffing numbers and speculative sales distracts from the real work being done. Archewell continues to issue grants, support grassroots organisations and convene conversations around digital safety and mental well-being. These outcomes do not always make splashy headlines, but they matter deeply to the communities involved. Impact is not measured by gossip columns. Meghan and Harry have also shown a willingness to pivot when something is not serving its highest purpose. That is a strength, not a weakness. Many organisations fail because they cling to outdated models or refuse to adapt. The Sussex approach has consistently been to listen, learn and adjust. This is evident in their shift toward targeted partnerships and away from performative philanthropy. It is telling that much of the reporting relies on anonymous sources and hypothetical scenarios. Phrases like "understood to be in jeopardy" and "could plunge into further peril" are not statements of fact. They are narrative devices. Meanwhile, official representatives have been contacted and, as is often the case, have chosen not to engage in rumour management. Silence is interpreted as guilt by those determined to find fault, but it can also be a sign of focus and refusal to dignify speculation. Archewell was never intended to be a massive corporate charity chasing scale for its own sake. It was designed to be intentional values, led and responsive. In that sense, a smaller team, aligned with a clear mission, is entirely consistent with its founding principles. Prince Harry and Meghan have spoken about wanting to build something sustainable, not flashy. Sustainability often looks quiet from the outside. As supporters and observers, it is important to resist the temptation to accept sensational headlines at face value. The Sussex story has repeatedly demonstrated how narratives can be constructed divorced from reality. Time and again, predictions of failure have been proven wrong. The couple continues to attract partnerships, maintain public interest, and most importantly, deliver on causes they care about. This moment should be seen as part of a longer arc. Archewell is maturing. Meghan is refining her creative output. Harry continues his advocacy on global stages. Staff changes and project evaluations are natural parts of that journey. They do not negate the progress made, nor do they signal retreat. If anything, the intensity of scrutiny underscores the continued relevance of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. People do not write endless columns about those who do not matter. The fixation itself is evidence of their impact. While critics debate hypotheticals, the Sussexes continue to work, build and evolve. Ultimately, Archewell is not defined by any one staffer, any one show, or any one headline. It is defined by its values, compassion, service, and truth. Those values remain intact. James Holt's departure does not erase them. Netflix decisions do not control them. Media speculation cannot dismantle them. The story unfolding is not one of jeopardy, but of transition. And for those willing to look beyond the noise, it is clear that Prince Harry and Meghan Markle are doing exactly what they set out to do, building a life and a legacy on their own terms, grounded in purpose and guided by conscience.